She said she needed space. A short trip, alone. Somewhere warm, quiet. I told her it was fine, that I understood. I didn't. I told myself it was temporary. She packed slowly, neatly, the way she always did, folding each shirt as if it mattered. I stood in the doorway, watching her build distance one layer at a time. She smiled once, faintly, when she caught me looking. "Don't make that face," she said. I didn't know which face she meant. She left on a Thursday. I watched her taxi through the window until it turned the corner. The apartment felt strange immediately, too symmetrical, like a hotel room waiting for a guest. I walked through the rooms without reason, touching things she'd left behind. A mug on the counter, a hair tie on the sink. Each small object felt staged, deliberate, like she'd known I'd look. That night I called her. She answered on the third ring. Her voice was light, distracted. I asked how the flight was, how the weather was. She said everything was fine. Her sentences were short, polite, unremarkable. I told her I missed her. She paused, then said, "That's sweet." I listened to the background hum on the line. Laughter, distant music. She said she was tired, that she'd call tomorrow. She didn't. I sent a message the next morning. No reply. By afternoon, I was refreshing her social media, looking for signs. A photo appeared around midnight. Her drink on a table, half empty. A pool in the background. No caption. I stared at it longer than I should have, searching for reflection in the glass. A shadow, something that proved she still thought of me. There was nothing. Each night after that, I called. She answered every second or third time. Always the same tone, friendly, distant, as if speaking to a neighbor. I'd ask if she missed me. She'd laugh softly, like the question didn't belong in real conversation. "Don't be dramatic," she'd say. The phrase became familiar, almost soothing. A routine of dismissal. I started staying up later, the laptop open, watching the time zones. Her location wasn't far, but it felt unreachable. She sent short updates. Weather, food, scenery. Never feelings. I replied with too many words, then deleted half before sending. The imbalance embarrassed me. Even in silence. On the fourth day, I said I might join her. I tried to make it sound casual. "A surprise visit," I said. She went quiet. Then, evenly, "Please don't." I laughed, pretending it was a joke. She didn't. The pause stretched long enough for me to hear her exhale. "I just need a little time, okay?" she said. I said sure. The word felt too light, insincere even to my own ears. I couldn't sleep that night. The apartment had too much air in it. Every sound felt exaggerated. The fridge hum, the water pipes, my own breathing. I opened her closet. Half her clothes were gone, half remained. The symmetry unsettled me. I sat on the bed, staring at the empty side. It didn't feel empty enough that I told myself not to overthink. She'd come back. She always did. But something about her tone, the slow erosion of warmth, felt final in a way I couldn't name. I replayed our last weeks together in my head, searching for the moment when her voice started to cool. There wasn't one. It was gradual, like temperature lowering unnoticed until you start to shiver. On the fifth night, she didn't answer. I waited until morning, then booked a flight. It wasn't impulse, it was inevitability. I told myself I wanted to surprise her, to make her smile. The truth was smaller. I needed to see what silence looked like in person. The hotel lobby smelled like citrus and chlorine. When I checked in, I used her name to find the room number. The clerk didn't ask questions. I waited until evening before going up. The hallway was bright, sterile. Her door was slightly open, just enough to make me hesitate. I knocked once. No sound. I pushed it gently. She was sitting by the balcony, legs crossed, reading. She didn't look surprised, just mildly inconvenienced, like someone interrupting a ritual. "You shouldn't be here," she said. I smiled, though it felt misplaced. "I wanted to see you." She closed the book slowly, marking the page with a finger. "You don't listen." We stood there for a while. She didn't move, didn't invite me in. I asked how she was. She said fine. I asked if she missed me. She looked past me, out the window. "You make everything heavier than it needs to be," she said. The words were calm, precise. I nodded. "I just wanted to be with you." She shook her head. "That's not what this is." I didn't know what she meant, and I didn't ask. The silence after that was thin but unbreakable. I watched her pick up her phone, scroll, set it down again. The gesture was small, almost lazy, but it cut through me more sharply than any argument. I said I'd go. She didn't stop me. I in the hallway. The air felt cooler. I waited by the elevator for a long time before pressing the button. I could still see her through the open door, a figure framed by white curtains, unreadable. For a second, I thought she might call out. She didn't. The door closed softly. Back in my room, I sat on the bed, staring at the key card. It had her room number printed on it. I turned it over and over until the numbers blurred. The city outside was loud. Music, voices, traffic, but inside it felt perfectly sealed. I texted her that night. "I'm sorry. I'll leave tomorrow." She replied hours later, "Do what you need to do." That was all that I didn't sleep. I kept replaying her expression when she saw me. Neither shock nor anger. Just fatigue. As if I'd become something inevitable, like rain. That was the moment I understood something had already ended, quietly, before either of us noticed. When morning came, I didn't pack right away. I sat by the window, watching the hotel pool empty under early light. I saw her walk past once, coffee in hand, sunglasses on. She didn't look up. I felt the smallest flicker of something. Not pain exactly, more like recognition. She was already living in a life that no longer included me. I stayed 2 more days. Not near her, not with her. Just nearby, watching the same skies, breathing the same air. It made distance feel manageable. Every night, I told myself I'd fly home the next morning. Every morning, I found a reason not to. It wasn't jealousy or anger. It was curiosity, cold and methodical. I wanted to see what her world looked like when I wasn't invited into it. The quiet parts, the small choices. I didn't know then that curiosity has its own gravity. It pulls you closer even when you mean to stay still. That's the point. It read like an answer even though I didn't know the question. At the airport the next morning, I turned my phone back on. No messages. I waited for one anyway, though I wasn't sure what it should say. Maybe nothing at all. The flight home felt short. I stared out the window the entire time, watching clouds rearrange themselves without changing shape. I thought about the last words she'd said. "You don't listen." She was right. I hadn't. But not because I refused. Because I was always listening to something else, the sound of distance forming. When I landed, I didn't go straight home. I sat in the terminal until most people had left. I liked the emptiness. It mirrored the quiet inside my head. For the first time in weeks, I felt something close to calm. Not peace, exactly, just the absence of urgency. I texted her once more. "Home safe." She didn't reply. I didn't expect her to. The message wasn't for her. It was a timestamp. Proof that I'd returned to whatever was left of my life. That night, in my apartment, I unpacked slowly. Same clothes, same air, same silence. But it sounded different now. Less like punishment, more like confirmation. Every sound she used to make was still there in memory, hovering at the edges. I turned off the lights and sat in the dark until my eyes adjusted. Then I wrote the last line in my notebook. Sometimes the quiet is just what's left after everything stops meaning something. And I closed it. I stayed in the same town. I told myself it was practical. Return flights were cheaper midweek, but the truth was smaller and heavier. I couldn't leave without feeling her absence in motion. Leaving would have turned everything final. Staying meant I could pretend there was still movement between us, some unfinished thread. The hotel room felt borrowed. Too clean. I kept the lights low, curtains half drawn. From the balcony, I could see a strip of sea and, sometimes, the faint glint of glass from other rooms. I didn't look for her. I just watched the horizon and the shapes that passed. The world kept its distance. I kept mine. Each morning I woke early and took the same walk down the main street. Cafes opened, chairs scraped tile, people laughed. The air smelled like sunscreen and burnt espresso. Everything looked soft around the edges, unreal. I thought about calling her, but the idea felt invasive, childish. I didn't want more rejection. I wanted data. Proof that she existed somewhere close. Instead, I began noticing myself. How my steps slowed near her hotel. How I lingered over breakfast longer than necessary. The way my thoughts circled back to her voice even when I tried to think of nothing. I realized obsession doesn't always look like pursuit. Sometimes it looks like stillness, someone waiting for their mind to stop echoing. I bought a small notebook at a tourist shop. I started writing things down, not about her exactly, but about the rhythm of the days. 7:12 a.m., kettle clicks. 10:40, gulls fighting over bread. Trivial details. It gave shape to time. The pages filled quickly. Observation had become a habit, a way of proving I was present at a night. I'd sit on the balcony with the light off. The city changed color, warm yellows, then slow blue. I tried to recall the way she used to move through our apartment. The sound of her slippers, the scent of her lotion, the faint hum she made while brushing her hair. Memory became its own weather, something that settled over me whether I wanted it or not. The phone stayed silent. I scrolled through our old messages sometimes, tracing the shift in tone, from warmth to politeness, from sentences to fragments, from good night to GN. Each contraction felt like a retreat. I wondered if she noticed her own pattern or if distance writes itself quietly. Without permission, by the third day, I knew every corner of the street below. A woman sold postcards in the same spot every morning. A man in a white hat swept sand off the sidewalk. These repetitions soothed me. They made the world predictable again. If everything moved in loops, maybe feelings did too. I started drinking coffee from the same cafe she mentioned months ago. The barista learned my order without asking. I found comfort in being recognized by someone who knew nothing about me. It was a kind of anonymity disguised as routine. Sometimes, walking back to the hotel, I caught glimpses of couples, hands brushing, quiet laughter. It didn't make me sad. It just made me curious about when small gestures turn from natural to forced. I replayed hours in my head. The last time she reached for me. The last time I turned toward her voice. Both moments felt rehearsed now, like scenes from a film I'd already seen too many times. The nights were harder. The mind fills silence faster than sound does. I'd imagine her somewhere close, asleep, unbothered. I didn't picture another person beside her. The thought didn't even hurt. It was the absence that kept me awake. The clean, clinical space where we used to exist that I began to think of our relationship as a study in entropy. You build something together, watch it stabilize, then slowly disassemble itself while you're still inside it. I wondered if that's what love turns into when the effort stops. An experiment that keeps running after the participants lose interest. I stayed one more day. No reason. The sky looked the same. The sea sounded the same. But something in me had shifted. The need to see her had burned out, leaving only a dull curiosity about what remained. I wrote a final note in the notebook before packing. Nothing happens. It's been a few weeks now. The apartment looks the same, but it feels lighter, as if the air finally settled. I keep the blinds half open so the morning light moves across the walls. It reminds me that time still happens. I make coffee, sit by the window, listen to traffic. The sounds blend into something neutral. Not comfort, not noise. Just life continuing at a normal volume. Her messages stopped completely after I came back. I didn't try again. At first, I waited for the vibration of a text, the small blink of her name. Then I stopped noticing the phone at all. There's a calm that arrives when expectation drains out of you. It's not peace. It's vacancy. Some nights I reread what I wrote in the notebook. It looks like someone else's handwriting, precise, restrained. A record of a person trying to measure loss through observation. The last line still makes sense. The quiet is what's left when things stop meaning something. I think I meant it as an ending, but it turned into a description of the days that followed. I still picture her sometimes. Not the version from the hotel or the trip, just fragments. Her hands twisting a ring, the way she leaned on one leg while reading. Ordinary gestures that no longer belong anywhere. They appear and fade like light on glass. I let them pass. People talk about closure as if it's a decision, but I don't think that's true. It's more like erosion. Every day removes a little detail until what's left can't hurt you because it no longer resembles memory. That's what silence does. It wears things smooth. Last week I deleted her number. I expected a pang of regret, but nothing happened. It felt like sweeping dust off a shelf. Necessary, unremarkable. After that, I stopped checking the time she used to call. I stopped listening for footsteps that never came. Now the nights stretch evenly. I sleep without dreaming. The city hum outside the window has become familiar again. Distant sirens, someone laughing, a car door closing. I realize I used to fill every pause between sounds with her name. Now it's just space. Sometimes I catch myself smiling at the absurdity of it all. How two people can build a life dense with small details and then walk out of it like leaving a room. No final scene, no resolution, just one door closing softly. I don't think she's unhappy. I don't think she's anything I can define anymore. Whatever secret I thought I'd find that week was probably just proof that she'd already let go. The rest was me learning how to hear what absence sounds like. Tonight I'm writing this because the apartment feels too still, and the act of typing fills it with movement. Maybe that's all confession is, trying to make noise in a place that's grown too quiet that I'm not angry. I'm not relieved either, just balanced, like the moment before rain. I understand her now, in a way that requires no conversation. She wanted space. She has it. And I finally understand what it means to let silence finish the story.